Okay, what's up guys? Here making another quarantine cooking video. And the reason I want to make this video is because I'm super bored, and also because I had what I'm going to be making today the other day, and it was disgusting, so I wanted to make sure that you all knew how to make it, so we don't deal with any of this bullshit ever again. We're making diced potatoes. I'm going to do an omelet. I'm just going to throw some like ham, cheese, well maybe not ham, but bacon and cheese in there. But the main key is the diced potatoes today. And so you can see I started off by cutting these like tiny little cubes, and the first thing I did is wash them. So immediately after you cut the cubes for the potatoes, just throw them in the water. That's going to prevent them from oxidizing, which pretty much means that they're not going to get brown, they're not going to get nasty, and then it also cleans off the potatoes. That's kind of a good thing to do. So, okay, next step, I got the pan heating up. I usually like to heat it up about medium heat. For me on that stove it's 5. Give it a couple minutes, and then we'll throw on the oil, and then we'll put on the diced potatoes. Okay, so I got the pan heated up. You can tell when it's about ready, when you can touch it and it fucking hurts. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna throw some olive oil on. You can use vegetable oil, olive oil, just put a decent amount in there. Then take about a tablespoon of butter, just plop it right in there. And then it doesn't hurt to get something to actually like combine those two things. But you really want them to be well combined before you put the potatoes on, just so that you don't burn the butter, and so you make sure it's actually like a delicious combination of oil and butter. Really quick before we put the potatoes in the pan, you got to make sure to dry them off on all 6 sides really well before you put them in. The reason you do that is because if you put them in while they're still wet, it prevents each side from getting crispy. It'll still get soft on the inside, but it won't be as delicious and crispy on the outside. So just lay down a couple strips of paper towels, make sure that all 6 sides are dry, and then you can just kind of toss them in. Now you can see I got all of the potatoes nice and dryish, so I'm just going to make sure that those don't fall out, and then you just kind of transfer them into the pan. Okay. And then you could just let it sit, but I like to mix them all together, just kind of toss it around a little bit, just so you make sure that all of the potatoes are nicely covered in oil, because we're going to be tossing this around a lot. But at this point, well actually first make sure that they're all touching the pan, but yeah. Anyway, now you can let that sit, cover it, and then leave a timer. I usually like to do like anywhere between 6 to 8 minutes. This pan was pretty hot, so I'll do like 6. And then see you in a few. Okay, now that the potatoes are on, we can start prepping the next part of the meal, which is going to be the omelet. Now in order to do the omelet, we're going to start with eggs. In order to crack an egg, you pretty much just hit it upon a hard surface, and I think like physics or something does the rest. Well, there goes the first egg. Okay, try that again. Anyway, physics or something does the rest. Okay, now I gotta go grab another egg. Give me a second. Just like that. Next part is very important. You need to make sure you have a whisk. You can use a fork, but that would be pretty cringe, and also that's poor people shit, so you'll just use a whisk. Fucking whisk this up until it is super fluffy and airy, and the yolk and all the white shit is nice and combined. Timer just popped. Gonna lift this cover. You can see potatoes are starting to get nice and golden brown. Now honestly, you probably could pull these off and they would be nice and soft on the inside, but they're not crispy on all the sides yet. It is kind of impossible to get all 6 sides done because I would have to individually turn every single piece. So for now, we're just gonna do like a couple of these, try not to lose pieces like we just did. Turn those as much as possible and just make sure that those are, about as even as you can get. And then at this point, we just kind of toss it every couple minutes, make sure that, you can get every side about as crispy as possible. And now's about as good a time as any to start seasoning the potatoes as well. For these particular potatoes, I would just like to use like salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of basil, maybe some Parmesan. If you're doing like diced potatoes for things like breakfast burritos, you might want to throw in some like cayenne, some red pepper flakes, some paprika, anything like that. But for these, we're just going to keep it simple. We'll do salt, pepper, and basil. Okay, those potatoes are nice and cooked now. You can see they're all very golden and delicious, and they're very, very soft on the inside. So now we're just going to transfer these over to this transfer sheet I put over here. Basically just lay down a plate with lots and lots of paper towels because there's so much oil in there. Make sure those are all in there. And then just kind of pat that down. Make sure that that's all good. And then for the time being, we can pretty much just leave that. And then we can go get started on the omelet. Okay, I've had this pan heating up off camera. We're using a teeny tiny pan today because it's way easier to cook omelets in them, and it makes it way less likely for it to break, which I always break my omelets. So we're gonna take a little bit of butter, just toss it on there, or not. And then we'll go ahead and mix that around with the flippy dippy tool. And then I actually have this pan way too hot. You really only want to cook eggs at like a 3, maybe a 4. Maybe like a 3.5. So the butter will burn, and you really don't want to cook the eggs too fast. You want them to be nice and like, I was gonna say juicy, but I feel like that's the wrong word to describe eggs. And now we'll just go ahead and take this, drop that right in there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and spread it around the edges really, really quick, just to make sure it doesn't get too thick, because it's already really fat. And then we'll cover that, and then just leave that for a few minutes while the bottom side heats up. I'm gonna try to flip this the cool way, because as it turns out, it's really hard not flipping an omelet with 2 hands, and I can't hold the camera and flip it. So I'm gonna try to flip it and not get this slishy, sloshy stuff all over myself, and hopefully not drop the omelet. Yeah, see, that's what I was hoping to prevent. But now we've removed that as a factor, so we can try this again. Yeah, again, that's so hard. But we can recover that, just sort of, I don't know, do something like that. Okay, hold on. There we go, first try. See, no problems whatsoever. I did shred this cheese off camera. If you don't know how to shred cheese, get your fucking priorities straight. Anyway, just put that a little bit on there. I don't know how you guys do it. Some people might just put it on half and then fold it over, so you're like folding it over the, I don't know. I like to just cover the whole thing with cheese. Got a lot left over. And then take these bacon bits, which as it turns out is really hard to open one-handed. Nice little handful of those. Sprinkle that all up in there. Okay, and that's ready to be folded over. And then at this point, we pretty much just let that sit for a few minutes on each side, and then we're good to go. And there you have it. Delicious, crispy, golden potatoes. Very, very soft on the inside. And a nice, tasty omelet. And this takes like 30 to 40 minutes. If you've done it before, maybe you can cut it down to like 25, 30, but the longest part's gonna take the potatoes. But yeah, I mean, pretty quick, simple, easy in the morning, and there you have it. Enjoy.